You won't believe what Christine Brown is finally sharing and what Cody did in an effort to silence her. One chapter in her new memoir has caused legal threats, family secrets, and a 100K ultimatum that might shift everything. This isn't another Sister Wives headline. It's the tale Christine was never meant to share. Pull up a chair, friend. Let's get into it. Have you ever clung to something for so long, hoping it would change, only to wake up one morning and realize it never will? That's the soft pain Christine Brown bore for decades. Underneath the family photo shoots, the over-the-top living room tear fests, and the now standardized narratives we all saw play out on Sister Wives, there was something more delicate, something authentic, just waiting to be revealed. And now, after years of keeping it all buttoned up so well, she's finally sharing her own story. No cuts, no censoring, no approval notes, and it's not the narrative we thought we knew. It begins with a lone chapter in her forthcoming memoir that's become a firestorm off the books. We're talking legal threats, clandestine phone calls, frantic meetings, and a frantic effort to delete what some claim might be Sister Wives' most telling moment ever. But here's the thing, Christine isn't giving up. Now, perhaps you've experienced something like that. Perhaps not on national TV, perhaps not with attorneys making the rounds, but something where you invested your heart, your time, your best years, and felt unseen. Perhaps you remained quiet too, reasoning it was best not to rock the boat. Christine remained quiet for years, until now. She tells us it wasn't anger that prompted her to speak. It was clarity. And when that moment of clarity struck, it wasn't boisterous. It was soft. The sort of soft that seeps into your bones when you finally say, enough is enough. What's emerging now, via gossip, fan rumor mongering, and that single chapter Kody Brown is struggling so mightily to keep buried, is more than mere drama for the sake of drama. It's something more. A woman unraveling her own existence, step by step, and at last recognizing it for what it was, not merely what it appeared as in front of the camera. This began, according to sources, with a virtual conference Christine had no idea would turn into a battleground. Cody purportedly arrived with attorneys in tow, brandishing ancient documents, attempting to prevent the publication of one chapter from her book, a money chapter, a fight chapter, a moment when masks fell and words were uttered that could never be taken back. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a figure, $100,000. Now, that could be just a number on paper, but to Christine, it meant something much larger. It was about control, expectation. The years she spent attempting to live up to someone else's vision of what her life should be. Always perfect, always smiling, always prioritizing the family, even when the family didn't prioritize her. You begin to ask yourself, when did that become survival and not love? And isn't it interesting how many times women, particularly women over the age of 50, are told to shut up, to be the peacekeepers, to oil the waters, to bear the burden of everyone else's comfort, even if it suffocates their own? Christine bore that burden for years. But this book, it's not an explosion. It's not revenge. It's the testimony of a woman who stopped apologizing for growing beyond the life that no longer fit. She didn't scream. She didn't bluster out. She walked out. And in doing that, she discovered something most of us spend a lifetime seeking, peace. But naturally, peace isn't always smooth sailing, particularly when the truth begins shaking the foundations of a well-nurtured public image. And Cody, from people familiar with the story, he's leaving no stone unturned in an effort to manage the fallout. Legal strategies, network influence, even goodwill cloaked offers that, upon inspection, look more like hush money than salve. But Christine's response, through it all, has been the same. My truth stays. And perhaps that's why this tale is so captivating. Not the money, or the TV series, or the custody documents, it's the unobtrusive strength. The manner in which Christine's discovered resilience in quietness. The manner in which her daughter, truly, now smiles in pictures with a peace that tells us everything. The manner in which her life, after Cody, appears to radiate something we rarely find in this type of story. Freedom without rancor. And now, you're probably wondering, why does this matter? Why share this story now? Because for so many of us, particularly those of us who've navigated years of marriages, raised kids, made difficult decisions, it resonates. Not in the specifics, perhaps, but in the undertow. That sense of gradually coming to see you've been living somebody else's fantasy, that you've been continually told to just hold on when you know, from the inside out, that you've already hung on long enough. Christine's story reminds us that it's never too late to take your voice back, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, especially then. So, if you've ever found yourself wondering what really happened after the camera stopped rolling, if you've ever felt curious about the chapter that was almost silenced, or what it cost someone to walk away from a life they built with their whole heart, then stay with us, because it's not just about a reality television family anymore. It's about reality, full stop. And as we embark on the complete story, the tension behind the scenes, the emotional stakes, the realities Christine finally shared, you just might catch glimpses of your own story reflected back at you. Let's get started. You see, sometimes in life, we are so involved in how things appear to the rest of the world that we miss what's actually happening on the inside. And this is precisely what occurred with Kody Brown. As time went on, we could see that he was more interested in how the family appeared to the rest of the world rather than how they actually were on the inside. Everything had to be perfect. Everyone needed to look perfectly right. And eventually, that image became more important to him than the real people living behind it. And that's where Christine finally stopped going along. Things came to a head, according to several sources, during a strained video conference with Christine's publisher last week. Christine is getting ready to drop a tell-all memoir, and let's just say things haven't been great for some people about what she's going to reveal. Kody, specifically, reportedly threatened to make her take out an entire chapter from the book. But this was no ordinary chapter. This one purportedly revolves around an explosive night that ended with Kody screaming about loyalty, control, and dropping a money bombshell that left Christine totally blindsided. Those close to the situation report that Kody appeared at the meeting unannounced, escorted by an attorney and documents in hand. Documents he asserted could legally prevent publication. He accused Christine of attempting to libel his character. But Christine didn't budge. In that quiet, even voice her fans are familiar with, she simply said, "My truth stays." And sitting right next to her, her husband David, quietly providing support. He allegedly put a binder down beside her, color-coded and fully annotated. Some claim it contained receipts, timelines, and documentation from that same incident. Clearly, Christine had arrived prepared, not merely emotionally, but factually. She's even confessed it herself previously. And it's hard to listen to. "I didn't know how strange or humiliating it was to admit, but my life was just bound up in what Kody needed, what the family wanted. And now, she's finally letting go of that." According to what sources are indicating, this confrontation wasn't just about ego or reputation, it was financial. This chapter, Christine is fighting to maintain, according to reports, shows a disagreement over stolen cash connected to joint family accounts. Kody allegedly asked all 4 wives to contribute a large amount, around 6 figures, for a family emergency. But when Christine wanted answers, things reportedly got blowout, and she's not holding anything back in the memoir. Gallery Books, the publisher, hasn't commented, but individuals familiar with the project indicate Christine's team was never deterred. The book is about freedom, after all, and backing away now would contradict everything she's been working toward. But the drama didn't end with the meeting. Within hours, a new enigmatic Instagram account appeared, posting what appeared to be a cryptic message, one that most people think directly from the controversial chapter itself. It stated, "He referred to the money as an act of loyalty. I referred to it as the cost of my silence. And now, whatever comes next, one thing is certain. Christine's done acting out. She's sharing her story, raw, unapologetic, and at long last, free to tell the truth according to her own terms." Christine used to confess something that struck close to home. "I was probably more obsessed with that man than I knew." She described how, even when Kody was not present, her mind was always thinking about him, what they'd do when he arrived, how she needed to change all of her life to accommodate his being there. It wasn't merely a matter of spending time together. It was a matter of remodeling her whole existence according to his requirements. And although she never mentioned names in her memoir, fans didn't require it to be spelled out. They knew whom she was referring to. When those words went on the page, the book was no longer simply an autobiography. It was a lightning rod. Now, it has taken a legal turn. Kody's people are said to be circling the manuscript, and insiders claim that the pressure is gathering quickly. But here's the kicker. In attempting to silence Christine, Kody might have unwittingly amplified her voice. Within the next morning, news of that now notorious chapter had already spread through fan sites and social media. And one figure kept cropping up over and over again, $100,000. So what's the deal with that number? As close acquaintances of the family report, it goes back to an incident not long after Christine relocated to Utah with her daughter Truly. She was starting anew, starting life with David, attempting to mend. And then there was a request. Kody purportedly informed her that she had an obligation of $100,000 to pay for family responsibilities. But Christine refused. She explained to him, in black and white, that his lack of planning was not her cross to bear. That is when the screaming started. And if reports are correct, this argument and all the emotional baggage are now at the center of the book's most dramatic chapter. Ironically, none of it would have come out so quickly if Kody hadn't tried to shut it down. His threatened lawsuit, which was couched in terms of protecting the children, only made readers more interested. And people observed something else as well: the timing. Christine's custody filing for Truly happened in September 2024. Court documents indicate it was filled with retroactive support, and even a request to determine paternity. If that money fight did go down during those custody negotiations, it takes on a whole different level of gravity. It's not family soap opera anymore. It could have legal ramifications, and that might be why Kody's response was so frantic. But Christine, she knew it was coming. Sources indicate her lawyers had already vetted this months prior. That part, allegedly titled "When the Mask Slipped," was lawyered before it ever came to the publisher. They indicate Christine has the proof: text messages, timestamps, even paper that tracks with what she's saying. This is no longer a tale. It's evidence. And the deeper you get into it, the more apparent it is. Christine's laying the facts on paper, and there's no turning back. The more Kody tries to cover up the truth, the louder it rings. Christine is not backing down. Actually, she's now suing Kody in Utah for child support of their daughter Truly, and the timing is telling. One insider bluntly said, "He didn't kill the chapter, he gave it fangs." And just when everyone thought it couldn't get any uglier, another fact emerged. One that might connect this whole meltdown to one very particular money exchange, lurking in the shadows of an ancient bank report. But we need to rewind first, back to one moment that hasn't been forgotten by many Sister Wives viewers. It was season 17. Christine had just made the announcement that she was leaving. Kody, visibly disturbed, stared directly into the camera and said something that would linger with fans for years to come. "I'm the head of this family, and I need it to be that way again." He actually said the word obedience. It hit like a gut blow. That moment didn't go viral. It unmasked something real about the family dynamic, particularly Kody's attitude. And now that rumors circulate about Christine's erased chapter, it all makes sense. That same controlling attitude, the desire to be in control, is what caused the money blow-up Christine describes in her memoir, reportedly. Sources familiar with the situation report that Kody insisted Christine fork over $100,000 to assist in footing the bills associated with Robyn's home. Christine refused, and that no wasn't just a rejection, it was a declaration. After all these years of prioritizing everyone else, she was prioritizing her own peace. Kody, insiders report, took it as betrayal. Christine saw it as liberation. But the memoir isn't just detailing the argument, it goes deeper. Christine describes what that money meant: decades of emotional disequilibrium, ongoing sacrifices, manipulation that was disguised as family harmony. And when Kody supposedly lashed back about Truly, Utah, and Christine's new relationship, it got even nastier. According to sources, he accused her of moving to the most polygamy-unfriendly state in the union and claimed her boyfriend was trying to get his hands on their money. In one heated moment, he's said to have warned that between her greedy new husband, and the state of Utah, he stood to lose access to both his daughter and his finances. Whether or not that particular quote makes it into the published memoir, the effect has already been felt. Because now, it's not merely about reality TV soap opera. It's about threats of lawsuits, custody disputes, and a mother attempting to regain her life. If Christine's chapter withstands the heat and gets printed, it could very well redefine the way fans, and perhaps even the TLC producers, see the Brown family dynamic. And what's so striking is the way this moment has changed. It's no longer an editor-controlled scene or a confessionale. It's not a soundbite or a dramatized narrative. This is Christine's voice, her words, her truth, speaking the story not of a TV breakup, but of what it actually cost her to leave. And as Kody attempts to keep the world from reading it, the world is hearing anyway. Word is, Christine's team isn't backing down. In fact, they're getting ready to double down, with proof. But not just emotional reflections or personal opinions. No, we're talking cold, hard numbers. Behind the scenes, insiders say Christine has been preparing for this moment for a long time. She didn't just walk away from the Brown family without a plan. She left with receipts. Literally. According to those close to the situation, Christine kept detailed records in the months leading up to her departure. We're talking screenshots, Venmo transactions, handwritten notes, tracking every dollar spent, every financial request made, and most importantly, who benefited from it all. And in that growing pile of documentation, one entry stands out. A flagged transaction labeled Emergency Family Expense. That entry, reportedly the same $100,000 that sparked the argument, is now front and center. Christine allegedly pushed back on it because, as she tells it, the expense wasn't something she ever agreed to in the first place. And yet, the transaction still went through. That's where things get complicated. Sources indicate that funds were drawn from an account associated with the family's previous LLC, when Kody had executive authority and the family shared their finances. But once Christine left, she claims that she lost access to the accounts. She no longer had any means of knowing where the money was spent and who was spending it. And by early drafts of Christine's memoir, when she did get told about the $100K transfer, it wasn't for family essentials. It was said to have been spent on settling Robyn's house debts and personal expenditures, not on joint household expenses, not on group deliberation, personal spending. When Christine confronted Kody with it, sources say he did not even deny the accusation. He just instructed her to trust him to take care of it. But for Christine, that was the last straw. Court documents verify that on Monday, September 16th, Christine sued in Utah, requesting that the court recognize paternity for her daughter Truly. The papers also point out that Kody's name does not even appear on the birth certificate for Truly. One source summed it up bluntly. That was when Christine understood that she'd been paying for a lifestyle she didn't belong to anymore. And from that day on, she wrote. First, it was scribbles in a spiral notebook. Then a digital file titled Timeline. That timeline, sources indicate, formed the basis of her soon-to-be released book. And all of it, the screenshots, the emails, the transactions, was vetted by the publisher, Gallery Books, before they accepted the manuscript for publication, which could be why the publisher won't budge, even with Kody's supposed legal threats hanging over them. Legal analysts indicate that unless Kody is able to prove outright defamation or establish that Christine breached a contract, he's out of luck. But don't expect him to give up. Sources indicate that he's now even contemplating a legal motion to prevent the chapter from being published altogether, maybe using the pending child support case to his advantage. If that transpires, the courtroom might be the next battlefield. Because if Christine's side can demonstrate how this money affected her and Truly's way of living, this is no longer about a family feud or a personal memoir. It becomes part of the story of custody. It becomes about Truly's needs and what she is entitled to. And Christine's daughter? Her name is going to come up in ways Kody likely never could have imagined. Truly's generally avoided the limelight, particularly where it concerns all the drama and tension surrounding her parents. Christine's tried to keep her shielded, to provide her with a childhood free from all the commotion. But she's noticed that protective bubble of hers seems to be thinning of late. Since Christine petitioned for retroactive child support and official paternity in late 2024, things have begun to change. Sources claim Kody's been more than a little uneasy. Why? because the focus of the court is gradually shifting towards something he doesn't want to discuss, his absence. And then came that Instagram post. It appeared to be just simple at first glance, a smiling picture of Christine, David, and Truly having a sunny roadside stop at Big Rock Candy Mountain. But devotees looked beyond a sweet family excursion. Truly, now a beautiful 15-year-old, beamed at peace, and people took notice. One commenter said, "She's so confident, so loved. It's like you can sense the calm in her face." Another commenter said, "I adore how she's bloomed under your care and David's." Christine's caption had appeared lighthearted and carefree. Something about goofy roadside stops, treats, and hanging with her people. But to longtime viewers, it meant more. It was a little internal message, a gentle type of freedom, that life doesn't have to orbit court injunctions or craziness to be complete. Whether Christine intended it or not, the photo dropped like a mic. And Cody? Insiders say he didn't take it lightly. They maintain he is more resolute than ever to dictate the story. They claim he is urging the court to seal any papers pertaining to the case for support, afraid Christine's book, particularly that which pertains to Truly, will influence public perception, or worse, the legal case itself. But here's the thing. Christine's team? They've clearly anticipated this. Sources familiar with the situation say that each mention of Truly in the memoir was reviewed and cleared legally. No bitter jabs, no extreme accusations, just a mother sharing her story for once with candor and concern. And if that $100,000 bout is a defining aspect of what resulted in Christine walking away, then omitting it would remove an important piece of their common history. Since the book is already contracted for release in September, Cody might be out of time to prevent it. But there's more. Insider word on the street is that something entirely unanticipated might be afoot, an offer that can turn the power balance around once more. Rumors emanating out of Flagstaff indicate there's whispery rumor, that Cody could be crafting a backroom offer. Not in the courts, not in the public eye, but behind the closed doors. Something designed to prevent that most tellingly candid part of Christine's memoir from ever becoming a public reality. Several insiders say he offered the suggestion of a behind-the-scenes settlement, one contingent on Truly's future, her college fund to be exact. At first glance, it seemed like an act of great kindness, but beneath, strings were attached. Those strings allegedly contained a hush clause, a non-disclosure stipulation that would keep Christine from ever speaking publicly about certain financial issues again, particularly that now notorious $100,000 demand. According to someone near Christine's camp, the offer was sealed in what appeared to be goodwill. But don't get it twisted. It was pressure. And if Cody believed throwing college tuition on the table would put pressure on Christine, well, he hasn't been paying attention. Christine is not merely attempting to spin a yarn. She's defending her voice, her path, and all the women who have walked it in the decades since. Her memoir is about something bigger. It's a vow. So when that opportunity allegedly landed in her email, she read it, paused for a breath, and wrote back in a mere 3 words, "My truth stays." That same day, she put up a lighthearted reel on Instagram. David and her, alone in the kitchen, flipping pancakes and dancing with gnomes, no regard for spectators. It seemed like a feel-good moment, and it was. But to those keeping track of the timeline, it seemed like something more. Not gloaty, not bitter, just peace. A victory that was quiet. And now, pressure's mounting. Some close observers think Cody might up the ante, perhaps attempt to shut down interviews or seek an injunction to halt the release of the book. But Christine's camp? They anticipated this a long time ago. Each accusation in the manuscript is documentable. Time-stamped texts, receipts, bank statements. None of it salacious, just her reality. As lived. And there's more. Rumors out of the publishing house are that a second excerpt is being contemplated. One that will be even stronger than the first. It wouldn't be a rant or an expose. This one would be something gentler. A quiet moment about the time Christine released herself from the burden of carrying someone else's guilt, when she abandoned the effort to repair something she never harmed. In this section of the book, fans assert that the tone shifts. It's not about brawls. It's not even about finances. It's about healing, the kind that only occurs after years of being silenced, of doubting yourself, and eventually learning you don't have to anymore. And that's why this book is already causing ripples. Even without a press tour or interviews, pre-orders have quietly catapulted it into the bestseller ranks for nonfiction women's memoirs. Christine didn't require hype, she merely required to be heard. And this time, she will. In typical Christine style, she's done it all low-key. No public outbursts, no salacious interviews, just the occasional quote, a heartfelt thank you to her fans, and those tender photos, smiling with David, laughing with Truly, pulling over at offbeat roadside attractions that seem to say everything. One fan noted, she's not just surviving, she's blooming. Another said, you can see it in her eyes. She's not afraid of him anymore. And with the advanced excerpts already making waves in headlines, it's increasingly possible that we won't have to wait until September to read the very chapter Kody is so desperately trying to bury. But one publishing insider tells us that the biggest bombshell hasn't yet been dropped. They're referring to it as the reckoning. And based on what we've learned, Christine may be holding it back until the end. This last section wasn't in the original manuscript. She penned it after all the rest was completed, after she received the okay from her legal team and knew there was still one truth she couldn't keep bottled up inside. Friends describe this section of the book as raw and intimate. It is a moment when Christine sat by herself on the floor of her home in Utah, clutching a letter she had written but never mailed. A letter to Kody. Not to hurt him, not to reopen the wounds. This time, just to let go. You don't owe me respect, she supposedly writes, but you owe our daughter peace. And the truth is part of that. Those who've read that passage describe it as the emotional heart of the whole memoir. It's the piece Christine was most conflicted about, but she's publishing it. Because, for her, this memoir isn't a quest for revenge. It's about taking back space for herself, for her daughters, and for every woman who's ever been told to be quiet for the sake of the family. And the timing? Not by accident. The book releases in September, 4 years after Christine's subdued farewell in that driveway. What was once a whispered departure is now a hardcover reckoning. And the fans? They're waiting. Comments on her most recent posts prove it all. Can't wait to read your truth. This is the book we've been waiting for. And simply, thank you for not backing down. But Kody, he's not finished. Rumor has it he's threatening to use the TLC network as cover, refusing to film if the show even mentions Christine's book or permits her to talk about it on camera. One producer was quoted as saying his refusal was a losing struggle, and frankly, they might be correct. Because currently, Christine has the fans, she has the evidence, and she has the momentum. What started as one woman's quiet rebellion is turning into a movement, and it's gaining traction fast. So now the question becomes, how will all of this ripple through the rest of the Sister Wives world? That's when things get particularly interesting. Behind the scenes at TLC, sources claim the network wasn't ready for how powerful this memoir would be. And now they're in a hurry. Season 20 is already on the docket, but producers are said to be completely redoing whole plot lines in order to deal with what Christine's book has in store to reveal. One insider even quipped, "It's the elephant in every scene." The dilemma? Kody's said to be threatening to quit. He's angry that the show he used to lead is changing gears, becoming a soapbox for the women he sought to silence. And he may not be wrong, but he may already be too late. Christine's power in all of this hasn't been about requiring screen time. It's been about something much stronger, her raw truth. No producers guiding her language, no studio silence, just her voice, talking to the people who've been along for the ride all these years. And that, above all else, is what Kody never anticipated. Supporters are mobilizing for her in what many are referring to as the Sister Wives era of reckoning. Janelle provided an initial indication of support, quietly liking one of Christine's Instagram posts regarding the book. Mary has also signaled that she'll be writing her own memoir, although she's made it clear that she's going to be doing it from a position of healing, not raw hurt some viewers might anticipate. And Robyn? Silence. Her Instagram has gone quiet, and insiders report her inner circle has consolidated sharply. Some think this isn't all about Kody loyalty, but fear. Because if Christine's version of the story keeps picking up steam, Robyn's image as the favorite wife may not just get called into question, it could be left forever tarnished. particularly if that infamous chapter does indeed reference family money being diverted toward her home. And here's the surprise TLC may not have anticipated. Fans aren't seeking spin anymore. They're tired of Uber package storylines. What they crave now is honesty and responsibility. That audience shift has apparently led to behind-the-scenes serious discussions. Sources say TLC is considering a brand new spin-off, one that revolves solely around Christine. The series would cover her life after Kody, her relationship with David, her Utah home, Truly's development, and maybe even guest appearances by some of the older Brown kids. It's all still just words for now, but it might signal a completely new direction for the franchise. And if that does happen, Kody's tight grip on the Sister Wives legacy may be finally slipping forever. But even as network execs and producers rush to play catch-up, Christine has already gained something far more precious than screen time: the affections of viewers. The court of public opinion? It's spoken loud and clear. And then, just as it seemed all might finally be calm, a single picture flipped everything on its head. No press statement, no court filing. A simple, quiet Instagram posting from Christine. A series of happy family photos at Big Rock Candy Mountain. Vibrant backgrounds, sun, and grins. It was all just a carefree family day out. But hidden in that set of photos, there in the third picture, was something that brought fans up short. Truly. Not the little girl audiences remembered from previous seasons. This was a poised, confident 15-year-old, standing tall, exuding calm and self-assurance. The comment section exploded. Is that Truly? She's beautiful. I remember her in diapers. Now she's a young woman. You can see the peace in her face. That's Christine's work. Suddenly, admiration became something more. Fans began connecting the dots between Christine's courageous choice to leave and Truly's transformation. That security, that happiness, it showed. And many credited David, now her stepfather, and Christine's determination to build a home on love, not control. One fan captured it perfectly. The glow-up isn't just Truly's. It's Christine's too. This is what healing looks like. But hidden beneath the accolades was a more sober change. For as Truly returned to center stage, mellow, matured, and unmistakably flourishing, the stakes for Christine's memoir got even higher, not only in the hearts of audiences, but in courtrooms as well. Why? Because the more prominent Truly gets, the more difficult it is for Kody to continue to insist that this is all about family privacy. And some insiders now guess that seemingly innocuous photo might have launched a new phase of this whole legal and emotional drama. Kody's legal team, we're told, has started reevaluating their strategy around Christine's custody and child support filings, especially now that she's requested an official correction to Truly's birth certificate, where his name still doesn't appear. Whether Christine's recent post was carefully timed or simply organic, it had an immediate ripple effect. You know, all those adorable pictures of Truly, smiling, self-assured, obviously thriving, don't simply melt hearts. They have teeth, and Kody is well aware of that. Sources report that he is now thoroughly worried that the sum of Christine's book and these public updates on Truly's life might tip not only public opinion, but possibly also legal outcomes. And here's where things really begin to come full circle. Because while Kody supposedly pulls behind the scenes, sitting down with lawyers, bullying TLC, throwing out the possibility of yet another emergency family meeting, Christine is doing something altogether different. She's just living, posting, smiling, and inching closer to her book's release with each and every day. But she's keeping one last ace up her sleeve. And when she lays it down, it could blow the whole Sister Wives universe over. The release is now set for mid-September. And Christine, with the quiet courage of a woman who no longer requires anyone's approval to open her mouth, is prepared. The book is done. The audiobook is already recorded, by her own voice. No edits, no waterdowns, just her truth, told plainly and quietly. Meanwhile, Kody keeps scrambling. He's said to be coercing TLC, seeking lawyers, and even contemplating bringing the whole family behind closed doors one final time for a last gasp bid at control. That move, though, it's probably too late. The momentum has shifted. The story isn't his to control anymore. And the harder he pushes to take it back, the further Christine's narrative reaches into the hearts of people. Because this isn't just a scandal or a drama. This is about dignity. This isn't some revenge story, no matter what some clickbait headlines say. It's a reclamation. It's a woman gazing back at the life she invested herself into. A life in which she gave and gave and gave, only to find out that she was never going to be prioritized in it. And now, she's not furious. She's not lashing out. She's just done. There's a certain strength in that, a purity that rings out above the din. You sense it in her posts, in all the pictures of David and Truly, in the peace with which she holds herself. That's what's resonating with women all over the country, especially those over the age of 50, who see bits of themselves in Christine's journey. The long-term relationships, the compromises made in silence, the instant they do, speak up. That's why this memoir isn't merely being discussed. It's being pre-ordered by the droves. Nevertheless, one nagging question still remains. What else hasn't she revealed yet? Because sources say that the chapter Cody worked so hard to eradicate, it wasn't the sole one he indicated. There are rumors of an epilogue, something new, a concluding passage that could name names, that could lay bare the origin of the financial manipulation no holds barred, that could eliminate any ambiguity and leave no space for reinterpretation. Others say it may not make the cut. If it does, this could be the moment everything is transformed, not only for the Browns, but for the whole Sister Wives legacy. This narrative would no longer be a reality TV account. It would be something more, a turning point, a cultural shift in how women regain their voice, their independence, their money, and their emotional harmony. And underneath, Cody might know that. So let me ask you, what do you think he's actually fearful of? The subject matter of the book? Or the fact that, for the first time in a while, he can't keep the tale in line? And if Christine does publish that last section, should she put names to it? Or leave it for her readers to piece it together themselves? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us here at Sister Wives Daily Scoop. The next video is already lined up, and I promise you won't want to miss what's about to come next.